everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out. And definitely don't forget to leave a comment because I like to read what you have to say. So while I'm making this video right now, I'm 22 subscribers away from the 5,000 mark. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to my channel, who has supported my channel. I'm truly grateful. When I began this channel in July of 2020, I did not have a lot of support from friends and family. I didn't immediately gain subscribers from them. My daughter was my very first subscriber. I was my second subscriber. A few weeks after I began the channel, I remember having 14 subscribers, and that seemed, wow, 14 subscribers. A few months later, I hit 100 subscribers, and you would have thought I hit 1 million subscribers. I'm grateful. I have something inside of me. I want to help people who are suffering from narcissistic abuse. I know how bad it is, and if me sharing my story can help somebody, I'm happy to do it. Joe and I had the number 5,000 as just this arbitrary number. And we decided that when the channel hit 5,000, there were a few things that we were going to do, a few little fun things. So hopefully this week we'll hit 5,000. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. We have some fun things that we're going to talk about beginning this week. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get into the video. Now, today's video, I'm going to begin with a little bit of an update and then get into the video. There's not going to be a Sharon and Joe show this week because Joe and I took a little trip to New Hampshire over the weekend. Now, typically we make videos on Saturday nights. We did hope to make a video in the truck, but it was so loud in the truck we could barely hear each other. So forget making a video. It just wasn't going to happen. When we left New Hampshire in December, we had to change plans last minute and leave quicker than originally intended. That meant we couldn't get the things I'd put in storage, important things that I really needed. So this weekend, we snuck into New Hampshire and emptied out the storage unit. For those of you that don't know, I have been separated from my narcissistic ex for 2 years, over 2 years now. And in December, my ex was beginning to really back me into a corner. I was at the point where I had to escape. So I escaped literally in the middle of the night with my children. We abandoned the house. So I had some stuff in storage. We finally got it. And I'll tell you, it was incredible getting the stuff out of storage. I felt like it was Christmas. My kids were so happy when Joe and I got back to the house. So we have all our things, everything is there, and finally I can wear more than the 3 pairs of shoes that I brought out with me. But Joe and I originally, now we live about 700 miles from New Hampshire, so we thought crazily for some reason that what we were going to do was drive straight to New Hampshire and come straight back. No sleep. I don't know what we're thinking. It's a 10-hour drive. Forget getting the stuff from storage. So here we are. We decided to go back and forth. And then on the way back, it was dark, it was night, and neither Joe or I have very good night vision. We decided that ultimately we were going to stay at a hotel. So we ended up staying at a hotel, but it was unplanned. So we didn't have anything. We didn't have a change of clothes. We didn't have a toothbrush. We had literally nothing. However, it was so fantastic to ultimately do that because the 26th was our anniversary. It's our 1-year anniversary. So we got to stay at a hotel and we were away from the kids, away from the animals, just some time for us. Now, of course, we didn't have even a change of clothes or a toothbrush, but it was really special for us. Joe and I, over the last year, we've had these certain markers, just something that we feel. So it's not like anything in particular happens. It's just like there'll be something all of a sudden, it will change. And that happened over the weekend. We both felt a really good positive change. It was one of those times where we're like, did you feel that? Yeah, I feel that too. So it ended up being a fantastic trip. What we originally thought was going to be a tiring ordeal, driving back and forth in one fell swoop, ended up being a really fantastic thing for our relationship. So I wanted to tell you about that and then go ahead into my video. While we were in the truck driving there, though, I was checking my email and I saw that the day before my lawyer had sent me an email. That prompted this video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about maintaining your dignity when a narcissist acts like a narcissist, because you can be damn sure that that's exactly what they're going to do. All of us involved with narcissists have a similar story. We meet the narcissist, have absolutely no idea that they're a portal to hell. Then things begin to happen. Long story short, we enter hell, and that's not an exaggeration. We enter a place of complete despair, fear, trauma, and pain. It's so bad that people who haven't experienced it can't come close to understanding what it's like. I feel incredibly blessed. I feel incredibly grateful that I escaped my ex. I know not everybody does. And I know that there are people listening right now who long to escape but don't believe that they can. Being in hell means that there's an absence of hope. I know. My goal in every single video is to offer hope. It's a miracle that I escaped. Things were as bad as could be for me, and I escaped. Very realistically, I'm telling you, if I can escape, so can you. It took me almost 6 years, but I did it. Please don't lose hope. Once you lose hope, it's so difficult to move forward, and you need as much strength as possible to move forward when you're in such a horrible position. Please have faith. God sees you. He knows. Sometimes it seems like God isn't at work because things go so slowly. It's only in retrospect that you recognize all that He has been doing all along. And that's what I want to tell you. I didn't believe that things were happening for me. I thought I was going to be stuck forever. I would hear about other people getting out, and it just was never going to happen for me. It couldn't happen. I didn't have the ability. I didn't have the finances. I didn't have any support. But I did it. Because I did it, I know that other people can too. We're different than the narcissist, thank God. I want to talk about how to be your best self when a narcissist acts like a narcissist. Very, very often I hear people tell me I'm emotionally strong. How is it possible you're like this after what's happening? Josie even said this to me. I'm going to talk about how I do it in today's video. It's intentional, and anybody can do it. Now, this isn't to say that I never have a bad day or a bad moment. There have been many, many moments of despair. Many times I've needed Joe to be my strength. But for the most part, who I am in my videos is who I am in real life. This is my real life. So let me get back to the email my attorney sent me. So this is the email I got from her. Sharon, I think we should allow communication between he and the kids. I can respond to this. Now, she says I can respond to this, but there was nothing. I think she forgot to add the attachment. And I did reply to her and ask her if there was supposed to be an attachment. I haven't heard back yet. So I don't know what she's saying, or what I am supposed to respond to. But this is what she said. I can respond to this, but the fact is the court will grant this so it can determine if the kids are being brainwashed by you. Your kids are old enough. They can handle talking to their father, but we should set up some parameters. Now, I'm sure I don't need to tell you my rage at this. My ex abandoned his kids. He left his kids with no communication, no financial or emotional support for 2 full years. He has done literally nothing. When I say I've been a single parent, I've been a single parent. I had no family support, nothing. I did 100% of everything. I dedicated myself to my children, and I made sure that they had everything that they needed. I mean, I could go on. When my ex left, he didn't leave me with anything. I had nothing. He was $100,000 in debt. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but this is what was going on. I wasn't even working. I was a stay-at-home wife. I didn't have any means of support. I had to go back to work. And when I say that, by the way, I'm not complaining at all. I'm just telling you what had happened in my life. All of a sudden, I went from being at home with my kids to now I have to go to work every day. And I was trying to homeschool my kids and take care of the animals and pay the bills, which is why I went to work. My ex helped pay the mortgage. That's it. He had nothing to do with supporting the kids, buying them food, clothes, taking care of any of their educational expenses. Nothing. Electric, propane, nothing, not one thing. He left me high and dry. And not just that, he had no communication with the kids. None. He did nothing. It was their birthday, ignored it. Christmas, ignored it. Everything. Now, suddenly, and by the way, so here's 2 full years. He never once was worried about the kids. He never asked about them. Do they need anything? How are they? Are you okay? Not once. But now that I left him, suddenly he's so concerned about them. Suddenly he wants to be a father. But as is typical, the victim, me, you, we're the ones who are blamed for everything. So I have to prove essentially that I'm not brainwashing my children. All this time. Now, right now, as I'm making this video, my ex does not have my children's phone number. However, before December, he had their phone number, email, which they still have, so he could communicate with them if he wanted to. He has this information. He had their phone numbers. He could have called them, texted them any time. There was zero I could have done about it. And I never tried to do anything about it. At this point, my children, who are 18 and 15, have told me they do not want a relationship with their father. I 100% support it. Several times I've spoken to my children and asked them, do you want a relationship with your father? Do you want me to communicate with him and tell him that you would like to talk to him? Would you like me to do this? It's okay with me. And it was. I would have followed my children's lead. That is what I have done. They don't want a relationship. And I am not going to push that. I think it's better, honestly, that they don't have a relationship with him. You know, there's been a difference between my kids and Joe's kids. My kids have chosen on their own to have no communication with their father. It's like he's dead. That has enabled my children to move forward. You know, they're not going back and forth, this pull and push. And is he there? Does he care about me? No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. Maybe. And the hope. Joe's kids have had a sporadic relationship with their mother, and it has made a difference. When you can see it between my kids and Joe's kids, they have a trauma that my kids don't have because they have this hope that they keep having. Maybe she'll change. Maybe she'll be different. Maybe. And it doesn't happen. It's cruel. It's horrible to watch. So the way that my kids have chosen to be, I think, really is the better way. I mean, it's horrible. I'm not saying, by the way, that people shouldn't have a relationship with their parent. But when the child doesn't want to and it's their decision, that should be respected. In my case, my ex left his children. They had to fend for themselves with me. And it was just, it ended up being okay. But that was 100% of my willpower. And I'm going to talk about that in today's video. So my attorney says this, I was talking to Joe about it in the car. I have to get, this is all I know. It's Monday morning as I'm making this video. So I'm going to get in touch with her hopefully today. But what I'm going to tell her first off is that when she says children, my daughter is 18, so I'm not going to play this game where she's a child sometimes, an adult when it comes to him having to pay any support for her. So I'm going to tell her she's out of this. She's 18, she's an adult. She doesn't have to do anything. My son, who is 15, and this is the issue. Now, my son has been traumatized by things that have happened with his father. Between my son and my daughter, it's been worse for my son. I am dreading having to say something to my son. I'm going to have to, because the court is going to leave me no choice. My ex all of a sudden wants to have communication. The reality is that what my ex should do, what a smart person would do to have any chance of a relationship, is say, what does our son want? How can I regain a relationship with him? What should I do? How is he feeling? Instead, he's going to force it. My ex abandoned his children, but he's going to pretend that it was me. It was all me. The reality doesn't matter. My ex has this high-powered attorney. He has his parents behind him, and I know what they're saying to him is, oh my gosh, Sharon ostracized you from your children. She can't do that. They've been trying to get me arrested for a couple of months for parental kidnapping. So I know this is what's going on. My ex is never going to look at his own actions and say, wow, I really messed things up. What can I do? Instead, it's Sharon must pay. And that's what all of us are dealing with. This is not exclusive to me. This is what they do. So I'm going to get back to her today, but my daughter's going to be out of it, and I'm going to end up, I think what I'm going to do, this is actually what Joe said, and I think this is really the best situation. I will give my ex my son's phone number, but I'm going to tell my son, you do not have to answer the phone. You do not have to respond to texts. It's 100% up to you. If you want to, go for it. You have my blessing. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm not going to have some court push my kids around, hurt my kids, traumatize my kids in their father's best interest. My goal, my role as the mother is to have my children be in the best place possible, be in the best position, be as emotionally healthy as possible. They're beginning life, they're beginning their adulthood with trauma because of this evil monster. So there is no way I'm going to sacrifice my children to please some court. I'll give him the number, but my son does not have to respond, and that's how I'm going to leave it. He's 15. He's going to be 16 in June. I did nothing. This is not me keeping my kids away from him. I don't have that power anyways, but they're going to pretend that I do. This is what I thought he was going to do all along, is push me being a bad parent. I ostracized him from his kids. I did this. I did that. It has nothing to do with him. I've tried to survive and be the best mother possible. I've tried to have a good attitude and move forward with my children because we are at a huge disadvantage. I have never had one person, my ex, his parents, or my parents, support me at all. Everybody is on his side. My role in the family, and I know this is how it is for many of you, you can understand this. I was the doormat. I was the codependent. Me not being codependent changed everything for everybody. Nobody liked it, but it saved my life. My role is to just take abuse. I can be abused. I can be steamrolled. I'm nothing. I have risen up. Some of you may know I used to have my ex's name on my wrist, and I got tattooed on my wrist. In October, I had it covered up with a phoenix rising because that's how I feel. I feel like I'm rising above this. Being with a narcissist is probably one of the worst things that can happen to anybody. Thriving after narcissistic abuse is a victory, and that is 100% what I'm going for right now. I've made some promises to myself, and these promises are essential to my mental health. I am so grateful to be free. For 1 second, I don't take that for granted. Not for a second. You guys, my life was awful when I was with my ex. Awful, terrible. It was despair constantly. I lost myself. Like many of you, I was a prisoner. I had no freedom, no life. My ex took away everything. My experience, though, after freedom has been very different than a lot of other people. I know this. When I was finally free from living with my ex, I lived. It was really this beautiful moment. He was gone. He was gone, and what it took, though, for him to be gone, I had to kick him out after he tried to get me arrested. Once he tried to get me falsely arrested, he told the police, he filed a false police report. He went this far. He hit his own head, slammed it hard against the wall over and over and over in front of me, in front of our kids. And then he claimed that I threw him into a wall. The absurdity, if you can see the size difference between the two of us, my ex is literally 3 times my size. There wouldn't be a chance in hell that I could lift him and throw him into a wall. And the thing too, and this is how a narcissist is, they don't care what reality is. The reality is what they make up in their own mind. So he wanted me to be, he wanted to be a victim of me. And this is what he's trying to do even now. That's their complete MO. Nothing matters. There is no reality. It's what they say it is. So for what happened to have been true, I would have had to lift a 300-pound man with one hand, because I was on the phone with 911 to the other hand. So with one hand, I would have to lift him up and slam him repeatedly in a wall. And, guys, you might not know this, but even without being out of breath, I just have this power. It's actually kind of this joke that between my daughter and I, we talk about this all the time, about how I have the power to throw people in walls. I even said that to Joe. Joe, you should see Joe. Well, you will eventually. He is going to reveal himself. But Joe's a big guy. He's really muscular. And, it's like a joke. I'm like, Joe, don't upset me. I'm going to pick you up and toss you into a wall. I can do it. But that's how a narcissist is. I found that humor is a really great thing. It's a great stress reliever. So I do that. But here's my ex. This is the type of thing that he was doing. So he's always a victim, always. I lived, though, after I was free, after I kicked him out. And it did take a lot of pain to kick him out. It did take that. And sometimes, I've said to Joe so many times, I wish it didn't take this. I wish I could learn my lesson without having to have absolute agony occur. But when he was gone, it was like I walked out of my house, raised my arms in the ground, and free at last. Free at last. I mean, that's how I felt, and that's how I lived. I didn't have this time of despair. I didn't have this time of not being able to function. I literally hit the ground running. I know what a blessing that is. I know this. I'm 100% aware of this. But because it happened to me, just like I tell you, I got out of this entanglement. I got out of it. I didn't think I could. I didn't have anything, and I got out of it. You can do it too. And it's the same thing. Here I am. This horrible thing happened. These horrible things happened. And I was never cowering in fear. I was never distraught. It was okay. I was living immediately. I just did it. And that's what I want everybody to have hope about. You can do that too. If you feel like you can't function anymore, like they've taken everything from you, and I live with Joe. He has had a very different experience in recovery than me. I see this. I get it. I understand it. I feel for everybody who has had this experience. But I really, truly want you to know, if I can do it, so can you. So some of these promises that I made to myself was that I would thank God every single day. And I do. I thank him every day. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. This is what I do. The sun comes up in the morning, or it's raining, or it's snowing, whatever. I have a new day today, God. Thank you. Thank you that I'm free to enjoy this new day. When something bad happens, or if I'm upset about something, God, I know you're there. Thank you for giving me the strength to get through this. I promised myself that I would be the best mother possible for my kids. I promised myself I wouldn't be afraid because God is real. I have nothing to fear, nothing. I used to think that miracles were rare and for other people. And it isn't my belief that isn't true. It's not my belief anymore. I know miracles happen all the time, to the point where I don't even think they're miracles anymore. It's God. He's real. He's here. And I know God can be quiet. That's something that I've learned. God isn't loud. You do sometimes, but you think about God and you think about these astounding miracles, right? He's parting the Red Sea and he's doing fantastic things. The walls of Jericho are falling. That's what people think of with miracles. Or, oh my gosh, I have cancer and now I don't. That's a miracle too. Those are miracles. But God is working every single day in your life. He's here. He's here with you. He's here with me. He makes everything happen. And the thing about God, all you need to do is start. You need to do what you can do, what you're able to do, and he will do everything else for you. I've asked God so many times, God, please open my eyes. Let me see what's around me. And he did. He answers prayers, but he's quiet. He's subtle. You have to look for it. But once you see it, once you start seeing it, you see it everywhere. I'm going to tell you a couple of miracles that I've had, a few things. This is what you'd consider a small thing. The night that I was talking about in December, when I kicked my ex out and he was trying to get me arrested, I, at one point, pulled his arm. I pulled my ex's arm. What had happened was he was giving me a silent treatment, as typical of him. And there was something in me that night that I just lost it on him. I'd never done this before. I've never done this. But this night I did. I wanted him to face me. I just needed him to face me. So I grabbed his arm and I pulled him. I was trying to pull him to face me. Now, of course, he didn't even budge because he was so much bigger than me. But I did do that. And my ex told the police about this. He told them that I had grabbed onto him. When the police asked me about it, I told them, yeah, I did that. They told me that's considered abuse. You can't touch anybody else, and that I should have been arrested. The only reason I wasn't arrested that night was because the cops didn't feel safe leaving my children with my ex. If it wasn't for that, I would have been arrested. So that's what happened that night. Now, when everything was over, when the police left and it was just me and my kids, my ex had been pushed out of the house, I had this little pet mouse. And I walked over and I saw out of the corner of my eye something about him. I was walking into my room and his cage was right next to my room. And there was something, I had this feeling something was wrong with him. I look over in his cage and he was like rolling on the ground. He was like pulling on his face. I'm like, what the heck is he doing? So I opened up the cage. He was choking. I had given him a corn, like he loved to eat corn. So I'd given him corn and he had one of those long strings. It was stuck. He couldn't get it out of his mouth. It was in there. He couldn't get out. He was trying to pull it out. You guys, if I had been arrested that night, or if I hadn't seen that, he would have died. He would have choked to death. Little things like that. I mean, it was a big thing for me because I love this mouse, but little things like that, that's God. My dog, Tupac, some of you may have seen him in the video Joe and I did recently, Meet Our Pets. He has cancer. I was told that he had 4 months to live, which meant that he would have died in June. He's still alive and he's doing really well. If you saw him, you might have seen him in the video. He looks great. He's thriving. He's doing wonderful. Now, I realize that he still has cancer. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but God's given me all this time with him and it's been fantastic. And I'm so grateful. Being grateful is really the beginning of your healing, because when you feel good about things, when you feel grateful and blessed, you don't feel despair. You don't feel like, why is this happening to me? How can this be happening? You've been given a second chance at life and you need to take it. I've often, I don't know why, but I have an interest in World War II. So I often think about concentration camp victims, and there's a big difference in them. There are people that have experienced the concentration camp who afterwards died. They killed themselves, or they had horrible lives, like lives of despair and trauma. Every day they were just crippled by what happened to them. There are also people who thrived after what happened to them. They understood that that was evil, but there's a whole life ahead of them. They can still live. They can still benefit society. They can still smile and smell flowers and look at the sunshine. And I know that sounds hokey to some people, but that's intentional. Intentional living is what's going to get you out of this. Maybe you have to remind yourself all the time, all right, I need to be grateful. I need to be grateful. And look at what you have. For me, I have my children. I have all my animals. I have an appreciation for everything. I have written down, I started doing this a long time ago, like 2 years ago. I started writing down things I was grateful for every day. This has been a huge help. I really encourage you to do this. I wrote 5 things I was grateful for. But the rule I had for myself was that I couldn't repeat the 5 things. So I couldn't say I'm grateful for my children, I'm grateful for my animals, and then tomorrow I'm grateful for my children and my animals. It had to be 5 new things. And I thought to myself, well, I guess I'll be able to do this for a time, but eventually, I'm not going to be able to do it anymore. I'll just run out of things. Guys, I have consistently, without missing a day, had 5 new things to write every single day. And I could go on and on and on. It's everything. When I see something, a beautiful flower, a nice day, a cute little kid, thank you, Dad. Oh, sorry, I call God Dad. When I'm making videos, Joe and I call God Dad. Sometimes I have to remind myself, all right, it's God, it's God, it's God. So if I say Dad, it's God. So thank you, Dad. Thank you. Thank you for letting me see this. Thank you for letting me appreciate this. Or I feel good today. Thank you, God. Or look at this beautiful meal that, my children made for me. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. When I first moved here with Joe, I didn't have a job. And the very first job interview I went on, I got hired on the spot. Thank you, Dad. All these things are real. There are blessings surrounding you that you need to open your eyes and you will see. Every single thing is intentional. Now, another thing that I promised myself was that this divorce won't change me. My kids won't lose me. Joe won't lose me. I will get through this with dignity. I know who my ex is and I know where he's headed. I also know where I am and where I am headed. When you're with a narcissist, they're always going to be a narcissist. They're always going to act like a narcissist. That is never going to change. When something happens, like here's my ex, Here he is, all of a sudden pretending that I've ostracized him from the children, that he's actually a wonderful father. He's actually helped support the kids. He's done everything. And I am just this evil villain, this malicious woman. I need to remember that, who he is and who I am. I am blessed by God. I have a new life ahead of me. I'm free. I have my children. I have my health. I have a life in front of me. I have Joe. I love Joe. I have Joe. I have everything that I could ever want and more. I can't let this thing, this evil entity, my ex, who isn't even in my life anymore, ruin me. All of us have to remember what we have. And if you are still with a narcissist, it's okay. It took me 6 years to get away. You can too. It's intention. Bring the miracle to you. You have to start. You are the one that has to start. Start being grateful. Start thinking about what you do have, and you'll start seeing these miracles. I am nobody special. These things happen to me, and I need to tell you because I want you to have hope. I want you to know that what happened to me can happen to you. And my life isn't easy. I mean, it isn't totally easy. I still have financial issues. Joe and I are starting over. We're still in the process of divorcing our exes. We have 4 kids together, a bunch of animals. Life isn't easy, but we're grateful. We know we're blessed, and this can happen to everybody. It's so important to remember how important your health is. Your mental health is crucial to your well-being. All of us have unlimited potential. A divorce from a narcissist is not a failure. When I was in the truck with Joe, I was listening to some motivational videos, and at one point, I was listening to a video, and the person said that, if you're driving, you can't drive looking in the rearview mirror. You can't live in the past. You can't have the past be the front and center. There's a reason why the windshield is bigger than, the little rearview mirror. You have to move forward to the future. You have to get forward. You have to press forward because that's where your life is. Whatever else the past was, it doesn't exist anymore. And if you're still in it, remember, it takes time sometimes. Take one day at a time, one step at a time. Think about what you have that you're grateful for, and you'll start to see these miracles. And then when you see them, hold on to them. God will open doors for you, doors that seem stuck, like that you can't open. If I didn't have my eyes open, I'd probably still be with my ex. I took advantage of what God had given me. I always want to say Dad. I took advantage of what God had given me. One thing I've realized too, you need to be obsessed with your new life, your freedom, your potential freedom, the freedom you're going to have, and fill your day. Do not allow yourself, especially if you're in a depression, do not allow yourself to have long stretches of time where you're watching TV or scrolling through Instagram. That's when the devil will get you. If you have your day totally full, you're doing things, you're busy, you're keeping active, you're living your new life, you'll be so exhausted by the end of the day that then you'll go right to bed. And there won't be any time where these negative, nasty thoughts can get in your mind. All of us have things to be grateful for. Every single person. We are alive for a reason. We have a beautiful life in front of us. We have to grasp it and not be afraid. I live very intentionally. I have goals for myself. I have goals for my children, and I live these goals every day. When I mess up, when I have a bad day, when I have a bad moment, it's all right. I forgive myself. Okay, all right, I'm only human. I'm going to start again. I don't let myself get sucked back into it. So today, please begin today. Think about things that you're grateful for. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't be the type of person that I'm going to start my diet tomorrow. I'm going to start my diet on Monday. I'm going to do this next week, next month, next year. Do it now. You have no time to waste, and you will never regret it. I know you can do this because I did it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm so grateful to everybody. Like I said, I'm so close to the 5,000 mark, and I have some fun things planned. So if you are still watching this video, which hopefully you are, definitely subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video on Wednesday. God bless everybody.